Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to review my Christmas gift this year. These are acrylic paint pens by a company I didn't know before called TOOLI-Art. I know about Molotov paint pens or Posca paint pens, but they are fairly expensive for the larger sets, and at least Posca pens don't really have a large selection of colors. So here you can see the current prices for the Molotov acrylic pens. You can see that the main kit goes for around 60 euros. Some of the smaller sets are more affordable, but I'm the type of person who generally wants a larger set and more paint options, so I'm usually not satisfied with a smaller set. And in particular, when it comes to acrylic markers, this is really bad for your wallet. As you can see here, the complete set of Molotov acrylic paint pens would cost 173 euros. Similar story for the Posca pens. This small set here of 8 markers cost 35 euros. Also, you might notice here that there are different sizes for these pens. There are very wide ones and very fine ones, and you might want or feel that you need to buy several different sized pens, making it even more expensive. Now let's look at the TOOLI markers. At the time when my husband bought them for me, they cost around 45 euros, and the sets include 30 pens, or in case of the other one I have 36 pens. So there are a lot more pens included here, and they're quite affordable. And you can see that they've got really good reviews. Most of these come from people who use them for rock painting. They seem to work quite well for that. So here they are. As you can see, I have 2 sets. One is the Essential set and includes 30 pens, and the other one is called Earth and Skin Colors and includes 36 pens. If you go to their website, you can also see that they have a lot more sets available. So they have blues, reds, greens, grays, yellows, all sorts of sets. And you can also get a glitter set, a neon set, a metallic set. What I've seen so far is that they have a fine tip and a wider tip. The fine one is 0.7 millimeters and the wider one is 3 millimeters, I believe, but I haven't found any large tips yet. Now back to the ones I have. You can see on the packaging which pens are included, and there's also a list of colors on the back side. If you look really close, you can see that there are some differences in the design of the packaging as well as the height of these packages, but I can assure you that the pens are actually the same size. This one here is the Essential set. What I really like is that it includes 2 whites and 2 blacks. These are probably the pens that you will need the most, so it's great that they've included 2 of them. There are also 2 metallic pens inside, silver and gold. And here you can see that this is the fine tip or extra fine tip. Looking at the side here, you can see what the pens look like, and they do look like this. And here you have a list of the colors once again, as well as some tips for how to use these pens. Now let's take a look at the Earth and Skin Color set. You can see they've included a variety of earth or skin colors, also some darker ones for those of us who aren't totally pale, and a couple of muted tones, bunch of greens, and these are the fine nips again. On the back side, we have the names of these colors and our tips again. And you might notice that these are rotated in comparison to the other set, but who cares? Something interesting that I want to show you, I've arranged these by numbers, but when they arrived, they were completely in random order. Also, they don't have an advanced numbering system like Copic markers. They just started each set with 1 and counted up again. So if you have more than one set, it might be annoying to you that there's a 1 in one set and 1 in the other set, and they look nothing alike. Here you can see one of the pens. At least it has written that it's from the Earth set, so you can tell it apart from the other sets. And you can see how much paint is left inside, at least to some degree, as well as advice on how to activate them. The caps fit on the back side of these, but there is no name for the color on this pen. It's only the number. So here is the other one called number 1. Very similar. You can see how much paint is inside, at least up to almost the end. I also find it helpful that the bottom side is transparent so that you can see exactly what kind of color is inside. But the caps for these are actually fairly accurate across both sets. There were only a few ones here or there that didn't quite seem accurate. Also, I want to mention that both sets come with instructions as well as 5 replacement nibs for these pens. And they were very nice and wrote a line underneath the 6s and the 9s so that you can tell those apart. But there's no light fastness information for these colors anywhere on the packaging. But since they're intended for rock painting, I hope they have at least some degree of light fastness. I swatched some of these in a colored sketchbook, and they were really opaque and they layered quite nicely without disturbing the colors underneath, provided you let them dry long enough. Based on this, I'm pretty sure that you will be able to use them on black paper as well. To activate these pens is a little bit of work. You need to shake them and press the tip onto a piece of paper or tissue and then pump it several times until all of the paint has come out of the barrel and soaked into the tip, and then you can use them. It's a bit of work to do all of this for 36 pens, but that's just the way it is. I swatched these in one of the back pages of my Hanemühle budget watercolor sketchbook, the non-cotton one that I complained so much about in another video. One thing that I noticed when I was swatching these and also later when I painted with them is that when I initially opened some of these on Christmas Eve and then later when I swatched the same pens again, the paint was a lot more liquid and watery, and that made it also appear darker. When you shake them again, the paint will mix once more and become more opaque. But for a while I was a bit confused why some of these look more like watercolors than acrylic paint. You will probably see the difference in a moment when I'm grabbing pen number 11. I actually ended up redoing the top row of these swatches later on to see what they actually look like when they're opaque. To be honest, when I first tried these out, I was quite smitten with them because they were very juicy and nice and opaque. It just felt great to work with. But later I realized just how quickly these get very watery, and you have to be careful to really store them horizontally every time and shake them before each use. I also encountered some scratchiness later. And tying back to what I mentioned before about different nib sizes for these pens, I really wanted the fine ones because I generally enjoy adding details to my work, but I underestimated how much time this will take if you're only working with small nibs. So you will see a speed painting later that I did. I had done the outline a day before, and just coloring it in took 2.5 hours. And at some point, while I was drawing each individual tree, it felt like it was taking ages. So I might need to get more of these later, just in larger sizes. Now we are getting into the metallic colors. The gold and the silver have a really nice glitter effect to them. The black is really nice and juicy, but it's also a bit strange because all of these pens have a matte finish, but the black ones reflect the light. After I was done swatching these, I also did a small layering test with the white pen. So here are all of the swatches for this set, and now I'm going to swatch the other one, and then we will take a look at both sets side by side. Looking at the Essential set here, I think they have most of the basics covered. I like their selection of blues, reds, and yellows, oranges. I think they could use one more green and one more brown, perhaps instead of one of the violets. The gold and silver also have a really nice sheen to them. I really like that we get 2 shades of gray and that we get 2 black and 2 white pens. There's also a color here, number 21, which looks like it might be a skin tone for a pale person. I think some of the names are a bit strange, like the spruce green does not look green to me, or the pale yellow looks a bit like mud. But overall, it's a good set. Now let's look at the Earth and Skin Colors set. This is where we get a lot more browns and reds. A lot of these are a bit more muted in comparison to the Essential set, and I think they provide a great addition to the Essential one. There wasn't too much overlap between the two sets, but within the Earth and Skin Color set, some of these colors look quite similar to each other. For example, number 11 and 12, or numbers 6 and 18. In general, I like this set a lot, but I do think it could benefit from some really dark browns, especially because no black is included. Overall, I think both sets complement each other well. There is only a slight overlap between the light tan and the light cream, but if you end up using these for skin tones, you might not mind having two of those. Also, the burnt umber and the walnut look a bit similar. So in summary, these are very affordable pens. I like that they come in large sets and they have a good selection of colors within these sets, and in general they have many colors available if you want more. They also include replacement nibs. You can see how much paint remains in these pens, and they're generally juicy and very opaque. On the downside, these get watery very easily. You need to make sure to store them properly and shake them a lot to avoid them turning more transparent and darker. I also encountered some scratchiness. There is no numbering system that's like an overall overarching numbering system for all of these pens. And there is no light fastness rating for any of these. Also, you cannot buy individual pens if you run out of a single color. They do say on their website that they are offering smaller selections of pens, like a set of 3s or 4s, if you want to buy more, but I haven't actually found these yet. Also, I'm not sure how much this will matter, but I noticed that their website is very light on information about this brand, so that is just a little bit weird. Like here on the About section, there's nothing about who these people are. The most I've been able to find is under Contact Us. There's a PO box and an email address, and that's all. It doesn't bother me personally, but I noticed that the black pen is actually shiny and all of the other pens are matte, so this might or might not be relevant to you. I still like these pens and I'm glad I received them. Now let's finally get into the speed painting. This is a scene from a game called Firewatch, which was very popular a few years ago. I really like this type of style, and I thought these pens would be very suitable for it. But since the background is quite large, I used a cup of acrylic paint. I still have a bunch of these from Paint by Numbers sets that I really need to use up. Overall, I'm quite happy with the result, but it did take quite some time, even though I was not working on a super large scale, so I might need to get larger pens in the future. If you look at the purple pen that I'm using here, you will actually be able to see the difference between the watery consistency and the more opaque one. When I initially applied it, it was quite dark, but once I shook it a bit and applied it again, it turned more opaque and a lighter shade of violet. So I ended up redoing all of my previous lines. If you are still watching, thank you for your patience. Enjoy the speed painting and see you in the next video. Bye.